Hey guys, this is Corey here again with CoreFX. Just bringing you another pre-week market analysis. This is for the week of August 20th. Just going to go over the normal video I do every week now. I've been giving you guys. I'll go over a little bit of events last week, how the major currencies performed, what went on, how the news event results were, and then we'll go into the week ahead, see what we've got going on, what to look for, what to trade, what not to trade, and some chart setups I'm looking at fundamentally and some technical setups as well at the end. So we'll get started here with last week. For the last week, we had the strongest performing currencies is going to be the CAD, Aussie, and US dollar. And then as you got on the weak side, you've got the pound, euro, Swiss franc, were the three worst performing currencies. If you switch over here to the futures charts, sorry about that. You've got breaking them each down a little bit more closely here. The dollar was strong the beginning of the week until the FOMC meeting. Some dovish remarks from that statement that came out. You can see the dollar sold off here in the middle of the week, and then again it recovered its losses after the terror attack in Barcelona. Go over all these events, but recovered its losses, and then it slowly trickled down again, but ended the week. This is where it started. This is where it ended. So it ended the week still holding on to almost half the gains that it had. And then you've got Aussie was strong as well. Aussie started the week off, and then started the week off weak here, as you can see, and then it reversed. It was really strong, and then was weak again after the attack, and then has recovered even more so. So you can see where it started to where it ended. There was some swings in both directions, but it ended up higher on the week. CAD as well. We've got the CAD weak at the beginning, got strong, weak again, and then got strong. Ended the week higher than it started. So there's the three gainers of the week. And then you got the pound was the worst currency this week. As you can see, from the beginning of the week, it sold off pretty hard and then kind of stayed in a range down here at the lows of the week and ended up pretty much a decent amount lower than it started. Not too big of a moving week across the board for any currencies really, but still a decent amount of moves, still enough stuff going on to made some money. Euro was second weakest, as you can see, sold off the beginning of the week and then kind of had some choppiness all through the rest of the week and slowly trickled back up, but still ended significantly lower than where it opened, as you can see. And the Swiss franc was the third weakest currency. Started the week really bad, then got strong, and ended the week stronger. Sold off again the end, and we ended up here lower than it opened. So again, not much of a change from beginning to end. Sorry about that. I had to pause the video there for a sec, but yeah, going back to the Swiss franc, it started the week off, recovered, ended the week off slightly lower than it started. So that covers basically the main movers for the week. Going into last week's news, the major event of the week, really there was two of them, but the major event was the terror attack in Barcelona that happened on Thursday. Equity markets saw a big sell-off, and the yen and Swiss franc gained strength due to that. And that was the day of the week where the CAD, Aussie, New Zealand, which are the risk-on currencies, all saw weakness throughout the day. So that was the major event. Aside from that, the Australian dollar, employment numbers, and the U.S. dollar federal meeting minutes. But going through each one individually, we had New Zealand dollars retail sales on Sunday, and it was better than they've been previously. So a little bit of better numbers there in New Zealand, but nothing really major at all. Chinese industrial production missed. This is China again. I covered it last week, but China's one of the biggest economies on the planet, and they're an industrial country. They're a manufacturing country, so their economy is really based around this. This isn't a good sign overall, global economics wise, but it's not too far off. And China's had some pretty strong numbers, so nothing really too crazy. Then you had the Australian Reserve Bank of Australia's meeting minutes, basically an in-depth breakdown of their central bank rate statement. It's caused some weakness in the Aussie, as there was kind of a neutral to dovish tone
but it caused a sell-off in the Aussie as it was a little more dovish than I guess the market had anticipated. You had then again on Tuesday the pound CPI inflation numbers missed expectations. Another thing leading the fuel for the pound weakness. Um, then that led right into the U.S. dollar's retail sales, which beat expectations. This is a good sign for the U.S. dollar and dollar's economy. That's why it was strong to begin the week. The U.S. dollar was really strong. Moving into Wednesday, you had the pound's average earnings, which beat expectations. But again, we saw continued weakness. Whenever there's a news event that comes out for a currency and it's good news and the currency responds weakly, bearishly, this is usually a very bearish sign. And as you saw the rest of the week with the sell off in the pound, this was true in this case as well. So we had good numbers and poor price action. Price action's king. That's usually a bearish sign. Um, then we had as well the building permits missed in the U.S. It's not too big of a thing for Forex, but it's permits issued for new buildings just down, so it's a little less growth in the housing market. U.S. crude inventories come out every Wednesday. They were lower again, so that happened. The crude was weak. Oil was weak most of the week though. Rallied the end of the week, but that didn't really affect too much going on there. Then we had the big event of the week for the dollar, FOMC meeting minutes. The report was taken as dovish, as you saw a sell-off of the dollar. The Fed basically reported they've got mixed opinions throughout the members as far as like inflation and stability goes. They're going to just continue to watch the inflation and economic data numbers closely as they're a data-driven body of legislation for the economics. So they basically just are going to be watching numbers closely and not saying anything one way or another, being very general and vague with things as they usually are. But just waiting for the numbers to come out and basing everything off of what results they get data-wise. So CPI, PPI numbers like this out of the U.S. will be really closely watched over the next few weeks and months to see if we'll get another rate hike this year. This led us into the PPI out of New Zealand, which was better than expected. This is good. This is another good thing for New Zealand because we have seen a little bit of mixed signals out of there. But they got positive inflation numbers here. Then took us to the Aussie, and we saw the Australian dollar's employment numbers were good. Their unemployment rate remained at 5.6%, a little over full employment, but not too bad. But as you can see, the employment change jumped pretty big, which is good. More people employed because more people working, more money in the economy. So the Aussie saw some strength due to that. On Thursday, we had retail sales out of Great Britain, and it was up slightly, so that was a good sign. But again, bearish price action all week. Pound's been getting crushed, so that's that's very bearish for as far as the pound goes. And then takes us to Friday. We had CPI numbers out of Canada month over month, which were flat. Nothing really going on there with that. So, not really anything to worry about, look for, or anything like that. This takes us to the upcoming week. Sunday, nothing going on. It's August now, and it's been choppy with all the political events going on in the world. We've had some movements, and North Korea and this terror attack now, and there's been enough stuff going on in the world to give us some opportunities for trading because the more volatility there is in trade in the world for economics and all, the more trading opportunities we have as traders. So we want volatility. Volatility is our friend, and typically in August there isn't much, but this August hasn't been too terrible. This week coming up, I'm thinking is going to be pretty slow though, as North Korea's eased down a little bit. The terror attack's going to weigh out of the markets more as it already has, and there's not too much going on. But starting with Monday, there's absolutely nothing going on. So Sunday, Monday probably aren't the best times to make trades. If there's a perfect setup, yeah, but as far as my trading goes, but there's not going to be too much momentum. Tuesday morning, we got retail sales out of Canada. Again, not the biggest deal, but it's a number they're watching closely in Canada. And then Euro, you have the European Central Bank President Draghi speaking. He's the president of the bank, and he controls short-term interest rates, which is what the rate statements are, the ECB issues. So essentially, he's got more influence over the euro than anyone in the world. So every time he speaks anywhere, everyone watches his wording closely. And he'll be speaking here at Economics Sciences meeting in Germany. Most likely won't be a big deal, but he could the markets could take some of the wording he says on certain things or something. So whenever one of these guys is speaking, it's always highlighted just because it's a big deal. U.S. crude oil inventory is coming out. We got some PMI numbers out of Europe as well throughout the night. France and Germany, two of the biggest economies in Europe. So these numbers sometimes can cause some moves, but unless if they're, all of them they're missing drastically or beating drastically, there's not too much going on there. Then we got the crude oil inventories. It's every week, so it's not too big of a deal, but it affects CAD with the oil pricing. Thursday AM, we've got the pound's second estimate of GDP quarter over quarter. This is could cause some movement. GDP is one of the biggest numbers. Shows the growth of economies, so this is something that's pretty big to watch. And then nothing really the rest of the day. And then you got Friday's got the core durable goods orders out of the U.S. Basically, it's the durable goods purchased by manufacturers, excluding transportation, and it's just an indicator for production. Leading indicator, more orders being processed here with the durable goods orders typically means in the future there'll be more production to meet these orders demands and so forth. That creates more, production creates more goods, creates more sales, creates more revenues, creates everything to grow an economy. So this is a leading indicator. If this shows what's up ahead to come. So this is a good thing to watch for overall growth of the U.S. And as I said, the FOMC is watching data really closely as to try to get an idea of what to do. So this is another something they'll be watching. And then the ECB, Draghi speaks again. No big deal. He's speaking at an economic symposium, I think it is. Just another event where he's a key speaker at. So nothing crazy going on as far as this week goes. I'm not expecting too much to be going on. It's August again, so if we can make money these months, then that's pretty good because the rest of the year we've got great trading opportunities, and this is kind of the dead zone. But we should still see some moves at least worth watching. Now moving on to the charts. I guess I'll start with this since this is up. We've got the dollar chart here, and as we know, it's been in a very strong downtrend. It's hit this weekly support as we went over last week and has rallied and kind of formed what we've got here as I've drawn up as a bear flag. You got the flag pole here, which is the extended impulse move down to where it found support, and then it's chopping up. On the 4-hour chart, this is making higher highs and higher lows, and this could be taken as an uptrend when you go down to smaller time frames. But what we like taking a bird's eye view from up above, looking at the higher time frames, as you can see, slopes of the moving averages are still very bearish. Price is still falling hard. This is most likely a fib level that we've come up to. Right at 38.2, it's hit and rejected. So I expect this to break down the downside and at least come back and retest these lows down here, like 92.50 area. We'll see what goes on with the dollar there, but as you can see, it closed almost breaking that. There's a bearish engulfing here, closed lower than this previous day, so I would expect the dollar to be weak next week, but we'll see. And basically, how these flag patterns work, give you a quick breakdown. It's something called a measured move or a one-to-one move, and if you can see this here, this flag pole was the last impulse leg down. That's why it's called the flag pole, and then you got the flag here. And basically what you can expect, typically, how these patterns are used, it's not always right, but how these patterns are used, you can expect a measured move of that flag pole to the downside, which would mean a target would be down here around 89.50. Now, this is a daily chart. This is a massive target, months away. But that's just how you use these basing patterns. That would be how you would estimate if that pattern was broken out, where the next target for the end of that pattern would be. And it'd be the end of the flagpole. Now moving on to the dollar majors. Starting with the euro dollar. If you saw my Instagram video, you saw that I posted this same pattern on the euro dollar. This is a bull flag pattern, so it's the dollar's weak still in this chart as well, and the euro strong. As you can see, price came up, hit this resistance, and has chopped lower in this bull flag. Now I expect to break to the upside again, come up here and retest around 118, see what it does there, go from there, but that's what my expectation is. And if you see down here, all these rejection wicks along this support, this is showing that sellers have come into the market and pushed price down, and buyers are right back every time buyers come back in and bring it back up. This is a very bullish sign as well. It's just showing that the bulls and the buyers still have control of the markets. Even though it tried getting pushed lower, they always come in and take over. So there's more buyers looking at this than sellers going off price action. And then moving on to the pound dollar, we have price came up, hit this resistance weekly trend line. It's following this daily trend line, but it's now stalled out along here. You can see the day closed with this doji candle, and it's on this strong support here. But we've been making a series of impulse legs lower. There's 1, 2. We could expect a third move down, maybe this weekly support zone here. If it breaks this trend line and this support, that'd be a very bearish sign to me that it could keep going lower. Moving on to the dollar CAD, get a continue lower here. I drew this fib line from this last push. You can see this hit the 38.2. We got a bearish engulfing pattern here, and price is now moved lower. And as I expect, it'll come down to this weekly support and weekly trend line here. Come down and retest these lows again. That's just my idea, my short-term outlook for the dollar CAD. And then we've got the Aussie dollar. As you can see here, price came up and made a little bit of a bull flag. This is a little bit too far of a retracement than I like. This is kind of turned into a trend channel, but it broke out now, retested, and now moving higher, so it could come back up to retest these highs. Dollar yen we've got here next. As you can see, it came up, retouched this strong area of resistance, and has fallen hard off ever since. First time back to this support zone, price shot up, a little bit of a demand zone here, and is now reversed and continued back down. I don't like how this daily chart, the candle closed so far back with this long wick to the downside, this pin bar here. That's a rejection to me. So what I could expect this chart to do is rally up back to this resistance here, and then we'll push and continue lower right back down to this low here. That would be my idea of what this chart would do. If anything, I don't think it's just going to open and blow right through that support. As you can see, this rejection here. So we'll see what it does. New Zealand dollar, we've got price came down strong, hit this weekly support here, bounced back up, and has failed to close back up above this resistance. So as you can see from the daily chart, it does look pretty bearish. If we throw a fib on here, we've got nothing really. It didn't go up quite to hit the 38.2. It's on 23.6, so not too much there. But we got some rejection here, and it does look like it possibly is continuing the downtrend. If it hits here and fails, shoots lower. But if you break it down to a smaller time frame on the 4-hour, you got a nice inverse head and shoulders here, where price could be reversing. I would wait to see if price can break out of this trend line here. And if you can break the neckline of this head and shoulders, this trend line, then I could expect it to move up higher to around 74.40 or so. Otherwise, it'll just roll back down, as we were saying, back to this weekly support level and see what it does from there. Dollar Swiss franc, I don't even really want to cover just because the chart's been pretty sloppy lately. I've got another inverse head and shoulders looking pattern here on the daily, but as you can see, there's been no clean moves either way, really. It's just been chopping around here until price either comes down and breaks under 96 or comes up and breaks this weekly resistance here. I'm not looking at this chart at all to be making any trades. Alright, moving away from the majors here, we will go on to pound CAD, the chart setup I like. As you can see, we've been in a series of downward moves, downtrend. Price came back up here and tried to make a new higher high, but then we had this bearish engulfing candle rejected off this previous resistance here and continue the downtrend lower. What I like about this chart the most is this right here. You have the daily bearish candle here that broke and closed below this support. So we are now in bearish territory, and I'm expecting this chart to just continue lower. We could have a retest back up to this broken level. As you can see where price is right now, there's still some support here. It needs to break a little bit, but overall this is a very bearish chart. As you can see, the 50 just crossed under the 200 SMA. All SMAs are in the right direction now, and this is exactly what we want to see in a bearish setup. Moving on to the pound Aussie. I don't know if any of you guys follow my Instagram, but I posted a trade on here that we took here at CoreFX. We made about 90 pips off of it over the past couple of days. Price came down, this daily close, as I was just saying, broke this support and closed below it. And what I look for then is a retest of that broken support. It retested here, we got in short, and it fell back down to our target. We made 90 pips off this move right in here. Dropping down to the 4-hour chart. You can see this is the setup right here. It shot this shooting star right on this broken support, turned resistance, and shot right back down. And as you can see, this chart closed down here below these candle closes. Didn't break this wick totally and close, but This is still very bearish price action. I expect this chart to continue to roll over as well here. And finally, we have New Zealand CAD as a chart that I like. I've been putting it on my story a lot. This is what I had predicted it would do this week. It stalled out around here, so didn't really end up doing it. But as you can see today, we got another break, close below. I expect it to hit the bottom of this low that it hit back here, retrace a little bit, tap this trend line, and then continue the down move. So I'll be looking to short it around up here when price comes back to retest the broken support. So this is pretty much what my outlook is going to be for this pair. And that pretty much covers it as far as what I'll be looking at this coming up week. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to come and watch my videos. If you've subscribed and everything, thank you very much. Again, check out my Instagram, core.fx, the website, corefxtrading.com. I'm a professional trading coach and mentor, so if you're interested in signing up for some training, shoot me a message, leave a comment, go on my Instagram, however you want, go on the website. Reach out to me and I'll bring you in. But yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you again next week.